And my baby. Like my girl. Hey guys, how you doing? Nice day today. Still cold, but nice. pee-pee? You want to do pee-pee? You want to go pee-pee? Come on. Come on. You want to go pee-pees? Gotcha. Hi, hon. Hold on, don't you up yet, huh? Go ahead. Good girl, hon. And I had a great conversation with the ice fisherman. Really cool guy. Had a really good conversation with the guy. I recorded it too. He was cool with it. I was going to go under the bridge and get some video. You know, this is under a bridge. It's usually you'd never have access to. The guy said, don't do that. They salt that bridge all winter long and they're pushing tons of snow off the side and through the middle. It's not worth it. He said, if you were on a snowmobile doing 35 miles an hour, okay, but just walking, it's not worth it. Videotape it from a distance. Yeah, it's catching walleye. That's all they're catching, walleye. Looking for 10 pounders, generally catching 6 pounders. They said they call this area the nursery. Because there are always small ones. Call it the nursery. Yeah. Blue, did you get your thing? Blue, did you get your thing? Yeah, that's about it around here though. I had a little bit of an Astro glitch last night. Went to Walmart, came out, left it running because the daisy came out, it was blowing cold air. Had a little heat fluctuation. Yeah, it should be there today. Should be there today. That's what it said a few days ago, but I haven't checked it. Strangely enough, it said 8 o'clock. And I'm assuming that was my time on Friday. I'll tell you, some of these fishermen are sharp guys. This guy right here is one, and the one I talked to. These guys know a ton of stuff. It's not just a bunch of bullshit. They're really nice guys. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I was just talking to this guy here. He builds racing engines on the side. I gave him the symptoms. He said, definitely a head gasket. He said, I guarantee it's a head gasket. He said, you're lucky you got that many miles. And I said, what would you do? He said, well, do you like the van? I said, I do. He said, get a Jasper engine swap. They're the best. He said, don't spend the money on a head gasket. So that's about $1,800 and another $2,000 if you like the vehicle and it's got a good application and you're not rich. Just spend the next $2,000, $2,500 and get a brand new engine swap, drive it for another 400,000 miles. It is $1,800 for heck. He said it doesn't make any sense to change the head gaskets on an engine with that kind of miles. None. Zero. No matter what it's doing. But you know, here's the way I look at it. First of all, this van doesn't owe me a dime. I paid $17,000 for this brand new. And I've got 440,000 miles on it. So, I don't really, I mean, I don't like spending it, but I'm so far ahead of the game, and I don't need to go out and buy some new piece of junk. You know, so I'm so, you know, I mean, it's not, the body's not great or anything, but I don't really care about that. I'm more interested in the room and all-wheel drive, and Daisy can run around inside it and that kind of thing. Yeah, I got rust on it. Yep, I do. But really, the outside it doesn't bother me at all. You know, I tell people all the time, if I was a sales rep or I was dating, you know, you just can't do that, right? But I'm not doing either one of those. So I don't care what the outside looks like. Believe it or not, I was anal with all my stuff for about up until I was about 40. Just an absolute fanatic. Getting stuff repainted because of a stone nick, just crazy. Just waxing it incessantly, having a fit if you spilled something on the carpet. You know, you got plastic around the floor mats so people you don't want to drive it in the winter, but you have to. So I got these t-shirts, and there's one mistaken one. I mean, I'm not going to deal with this lady anymore. I'd like to help her out, but it was an absolute nightmare. And today was starting to look like a nightmare. It's just not worth it. I don't think, you know, I checked in last night to look at starting my own expediting company. I'm not doing that either. I'd like to do it, but those people work for nothing. You've got enough people out there now that just keep dropping the money, and before you know it, they're working for nothing and don't even realize it. They've done the same thing with Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all these other people. You look at it from a traditional accounting standard, your time, gas, vehicle wear and tear. You're not making any money there either. It seems like you are, but you're not when you really crunch the numbers. I mean, if traditional business took the same formula to run big companies, they'd all be broke because they have smart people realizing what it takes to make a profit instead of people thinking that getting $150 through DoorDash is $150. That's what they tell you. How much you make today? $150. No, you didn't. How much were your expenses? Oh, well, I spent, $23 in gas. No, I'm talking about your vehicle and after all, your time. I mean, you can get $17 at McDonald's now without doing anything on your own. You know what I mean? There's just no money in anything anymore. eBay's dead. By the time you pay their fee, yeah, I think she's got a lot on her plate. But here's the thing on that, right? She's also been soliciting for more work ever since I paid her back in early November. She's there every day looking for other people to give her money for orders. And she took 3 months to fill mine, an order of 30 shirts. And even yesterday, she said, well, I'm going to be there all day today and all day tomorrow. It doesn't matter what time you come. So when I called her at 11 o'clock and she still wasn't there, she said, I thought you were coming tomorrow. You know, it's always these kind of answers. I wish the best of luck to her. I know she's probably stressed out. But, if you're this far behind on the 8 ball with, life issues, you wouldn't be able to be there every day looking for more work. It's just, the t-shirts are honestly basic. That was kind of just trying to help her out, trying to help Cassie out a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. If I had to grade the experience, I'd have to say it would be like I'd say a C, maybe a 5 out of 10. Between the hassle and there's that. It should have said Dungeon on Johnson. Not a big deal. If you know Tassie and you see Dungeon and you see Junction, you know what it means. But it's just another example of half-assed work. Yeah, well, you're getting one for sure. Personally, they're all girl shirts too. I think the Pizza and Liquor is the best. Actually, they look better too because they've got glitter on them. They look better in person than they do otherwise. This is Old Town. This is where Christine works here. Around here, old, lot of asbestos-sided houses still. They got much more snow than we did. And actually, the shirts are decent quality shirts. Those shirts cost me $433 for 30 of them. And I don't know what you get the shirts for. I can't imagine you would get them cheaper. They're decent shirts. I can't imagine you get them cheaper than $5 a shirt. So there you go. So there's 150. And then you imagine bullshitting around, gluing all this stuff on here and cutting all this stuff out wherever they do it. There's just no money in it. I mean, on one hand, I was disappointed that I went through all this crap to get the shirts. Really not that bad, but you know, it was disappointing. On the other hand, I can see why she didn't feel like doing them. Especially if she got the money up front. I've fucked up like this before. I've done this before. Paid things in advance. And it's just a stupid thing to do. It's just, you know, you sense they're having trouble and you don't want to put the pressure on them to come up with inventory money to place your order, and you assume they're gonna work it right. I think that $433, if I had to guess, I bet you that was spent the next 2 or 3 days. And I'll bet you money part of what took so long was being able to afford to buy the 30 shirts to put the decorations on them. Yeah, about 15 a shirt. Yep. Which isn't bad if you look at them. I mean, I've tried online. It's just, I'm getting better because I'm feeling better, so I'm doing more detail-oriented things, and I could probably do a better job at coming up with better shirts now. But back then, it was just kind of a combo thing of helping her and helping Tassie. I knew they weren't going to be, you know, winning T-shirt of the year. Yeah, but overall, I mean, honestly, overall, it's worked out pretty good, really. I really haven't gotten stung too bad on it. Tell you another interesting thing about this 4.3, you cannot adjust the lifters on these engines, as good as they are and as long as they go. You talk to anybody that knows anything about mechanics, and they all love the 4.3, but it's odd that you can't adjust the lifters. But for all I know, that's part of the success and the longevity. I'm heading back to West Branch. I'm down in Carlton, right along next to Saginaw. Got the Daisy Girl. You know what I bought last night? An Instapot. I was going through the aisles at Walmart, and they had one in the clearance section. It was $45 instead of $60, so I went ahead and bought one. I heard Michelle talking about it. I haven't messed with it yet or anything. You know, I was telling you I got a bunch of meat yesterday for my friends, and I'm not so sure that's that great of a deal. I mean, you know how it is. It's subtle, right? It's like an oil change or a car wash. You know, you think differently, you know? It's like you're feeling good. I just got my oil change. And meat, you know, unless it's really bad or really exceptional, I mean, it's not like you're comparing Save-A-Lot or Aldi meat to Kansas City or Omaha Steaks. So she gets this quarter steer, like $735, and it's about 130 pounds of meat, something like that, and she can't fit it all in her freezer. So they called me and she said, hey, I'll give you a bunch of meat. So you don't need to give it to me. I got a freezer and I'll store it for you. She said, well, just pick out a few things you like. So I picked out a hamburger, a blade roast, which is what I cooked last night. I haven't done that in forever. I actually overcooked a little bit, but I like that on dishes like that, so it wasn't a problem. And then I had some stew meat, but when I kind of in my head crunched the numbers, I called her later and I said, I was watching her unload this meat as I was putting it in these things for me to store in my refrigerator. And it was like T-bone, sirloin. And I thought to myself, where's the fillets, Delmonico, Porterhouse, New York strip? So I called her later. I said, it's not my business, but, did you inventory the steaks? She said, well, there's steaks in there. I said, yeah, I know there's steaks, but look at the quality of the cut. If you split this 4 ways, now I don't know if it was 4 friends, or you're just getting a fourth of a cow and you don't know who the other 3 people are. But it sure seemed to me it wasn't any deal. There was a shit ton of hamburger. And they didn't get any quality steaks. It's all shrink wrapped. It looks good, but I think it's kind of cool. Another thing too I told her too is people don't understand this. If you read the commercial standards of freezing food, freezing food, of course, is better than leaving it in the refrigerator, right? Anybody knows that. But what degree of freezing is the big trick? A standard freezer on a refrigerator is nothing at all like a deep freeze, which means that after that beef is frozen, that it slowly breaks down. It just does, depending on how cold it is. I mean, there's still activity. See, I've read that you shouldn't keep frozen meat in a regular freezer, a non-deep freeze, for longer than 6 months, and I kind of believe it. I mean, look what it does to ice cream. No, I didn't see any fillets or ribeyes. Nope. So now I would, if it was me, I'd call back, and I'd probably just ask them straight out. It's a fourth of cow, right? Steer? Yeah, it is. It's like, well, who got the ribeyes and the fillets? It's like, well, that's a different fourth of a cow. Does it cost more? If they said, oh yeah, it's another $100, okay, now we're talking. If they say, no, it doesn't cost more, then I'd realize right then I just got hosed. Like another thing too, like Blue, I told you, cheese. When you look at, you'll see that shrink wrap cheese. Now I know what I've gotten away with myself, and I know what the stores get away with up north, because it was always surprising to me. It's like, I thought cheese needed to be refrigerated. But when it's shrink wrapped, that's where the question mark starts. And I know for a fact, stores where I know it's been out there a month, shrink wrapped, unrefrigerated, and they said it's fine. The same with beef jerky. You don't need to refrigerate it, but you'll go into some stores and you'll see the aged cheese in a cooler, and you'll see the beef jerky in a cooler too. Well, I mean, who doesn't know what the hell they're doing? And who has cheese and beef jerky long enough to where it's not going to be eaten within a year? You know what I'm saying? So I don't have a problem with it. Plus, when you look at the transport of cheese, it isn't like I'm sending it to Ecuador at the heat of the summer. It goes into like probably the room temperature at the post office, then it goes into a cold truck, to a cold warehouse, to a cold truck again, to your porch. So it doesn't worry me a bit. But when you go to get a definitive answer on how long can you keep unrefrigerated shrink wrap cheese out, it's soup to nuts on the answers you get. Yeah, well, I could tell you, I'm sure based on trying it out myself. And I've believe it or not, I know this sounds crazy to you, but I get anal on this stupid shit. I've marked cheese before with a dry mark and put it at the back of the place at a store. And twice it's been over 2 months, like 2 months and 3 days. And that's when I asked him, it's like, how long can you have this cheese out here unrefrigerated? It's like, oh, it'll last for months. It's like, well, how many months? Well, it depends. Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to get the answer for. Depends on what. If you're in Cape Town, South Africa, or Siberia. Are they really, huh? Wow. Yeah, when I went into Saginaw today, you could see that they had thick ice over some of the roads there. Yeah, they did. Man, I should get an instrument rating for driving the Astrovan. If I end up rear-ending somebody, you'll know why. I'm watching my heat and water temperature, oil pressure all the time. Look at this dumbass in this lane. I'll tell you another thing that surprises me is the amount of two-stroke snowmobiles are around. I thought they'd have had this four-stroke thing down by now, but not really. They're almost all two-stroke. Yeah, you know, I like winter actually. I just wish we would have got a good snow. Detroit never got all that snow they were talking about. There's a couple old barns back here I'd like to photograph. You know, I met this guy. He's kind of, I mentioned it earlier, famous photographer, really. But he never really made any money. Black guy, cool guy. Looks like some guy it reminds you of like an African-American cowboy. Good personality. Surprised he didn't make a ton of money. And he actually ended up getting a master's degree in photography, the fine arts, from USC. He's photographed at the White House. He did Sidney Poitier. He wants to get together and drink a bottle of wine tomorrow. But is broke, to tell you the truth. When he asked me if I would help promote him, it's like, yeah, I'll do that. It's like, no problem. And we talked about Nikon cameras and different kind of things. And I said, hey, you want to sell your negatives? Yeah, he knew right then. And he also knew, he knew, this guy knew what he was talking about. He said he thought that his degrees in photography were totally and completely worthless. He'd been better off just learning it on his own. He seems kind of disenchanted with the way things worked out. Hey, waiting. Did you check out that magic potion I told you? I got on the chat last night for a little while. I just like getting on spontaneously. No, notice. think what I'm going to do on my van is I'm going to, I average about 50 to 60,000 miles a year usually since I quit working. Well, not really. I wouldn't say that. Since I took did it YouTube more. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry a 2-gallon thing of antifreeze with me. And I'm going to keep it topped off, and I hope that gets me through February. Because then I'll be out of the big heat worry, needing heat. Then I'm going to dump another bottle of K-Seal in. This damn ice fisherman said, hey, I asked him about K-Seal. He said it works great if you know how to do it. I said, what do you mean if you know how to do it? You uncap it, you put it in there. He said, no. He said, especially if you're going to put a second bottle in, you want to get that engine hot as hell, and you want to dump that in there, and you want to take off for about an hour drive. He said that way there's a much less likely chance of filling up and clogging your heater core. It's not going to give that a chance to sit and meld in whatever area is leaking. I thought that was some pretty good advice. Angie, how you been doing? They've got a bridge up here, and they've done all the construction except run the bridge, overpass I should say, except do the overpass across the road. You know, you can see the road up both sides. And I was talking to this ice fisherman about that, and he told me that they can't get laborers, construction laborers, even though it pays like $23 an hour. Oh, good. Yeah, good luck with that. It's worth a try. Why don't you get that genetic testing, that gene, they call it gene something. Get it done for a couple $100. If you can't afford it, I'll pay for it. They take a blood test and they submit it, and they tell you what kind of drugs would be most beneficial for you. And like I said before, it basically is how it metabolizes in your liver, which is basically everything. I wouldn't have a problem doing that. I was going through some YouTube videos last night, laying in bed, and I was listening to this one Vietnam guy who was about ready to kill himself, and with a pistol, and he was laying in bed, and he let his dogs out, and he just contemplated this for like 20 minutes, and the dog started like screaming and like getting crazy, and he got out of bed and he went and let them in. They jumped up and stuff, he said, like they never did before, and he said he broke down and cried for like 20 minutes. And that was 30 years ago. Yeah, that's what he thought, yep. He said it went further than that. It just got to the point where he started thinking about these dogs, like just not seeing them and stuff, and wondering what's going through their minds. Like I'm telling you, Daisy's, I've never had a dog like that. I mean, I've had dogs that I had great relationships with, but I think if you treated them kind, you could have took them over to your house and it'd be happily ever after. But not with Daisy, no way. I've had this happen twice. It happened last spring in Hilton Head. She starts going crazy. Then she starts getting shitty with the people that she was having fun with. And then they don't know what to do. So they let her in the van, and then she won't let them get back in the van to let her out. Yeah, that time that was in Hilton Head. You know, I went someplace, do something. You know, there's certain places I want to take her down there, those alligators. You look at Hilton Head, that alligator that ate a lady and her dog, that was 2 streets over from where I stayed. It's just not worth it, man. Those damn things sit under the water, you can't even see them. And first of all, I'm not walking along the edge of the water with Daisy anyway, but there's weird shit. You know, where he lived, there's an easement where you walk down to the ocean, and so he said they catch those alligators hiding in there. Forget that. But anyway, after that day that happened, I came back, and then we went somewhere in his truck, and like she just like fell asleep upside down, snoring. Oh, sorry about that. Who got it? Why, Michelle? When do you start the new job? Hey, Bimbo. Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, Michelle, there's medication you can get to head that off at the pass. And if that morphs into breathing problems, that's the difference between being alive and not. I'm warning you about this. There's people in the graveyard all over because they tried to wait it out and didn't think they had it. Seriously. Once you start getting pneumonia, your odds of survival south. Hey Bimbo, where you been? We've been on the nights. What's going on over there? How come you haven't been coming on at night? I'm serious about this. This is nothing to mess around with. If you have a family doctor, you can get a prescription called in to keep from getting it worse in your lungs. Do that. I can find out what it is if you want, because my buddy calls it in for his patients all the time. okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Zoom off here and text him now and ask him what it is, and I'll come right back on. Because I can't do both. I wish I could, but I'll text him right now and get the name of it.